Hello and welcome to my channel. Bonsoir et bienvenue sur ma chaîne. My name is Muriel and this evening I'm going to be doing something a little different. As you can see, I'm going to do a tier list video because those haven't been overdone on YouTube at all, right? Let's see, I only discovered the existence of tier lists fairly recently and it's exactly the kind of nerdy thing that really appeals to me. So I was like, tier lists about SFF things. That's right up my alley, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll be doing a few of these. To start off this new series, I'm going to rank all of the SFF series I have so far read. I will be taking into consideration trilogies and above, so I'm sure most of you are already familiar with the workings of a tier list, but D is obviously going to be bad, C is alright, decent, passable, B is good, A is great, and S is amazing, perfect or near to perfect, God tier, greatest of all time, things like that. So, starting off, we have the Age of Fire series by E.E. Knight, which I've never mentioned on my channel. And this is actually a series I greatly enjoyed when I read it, because it tells a story from the point of view of dragon characters, and not, anthropomorphized dragons, beast-like dragons. There are 6 books in the series, and each book has a different dragon sibling as its main character, and so the story is told from their point of view. It is extremely original. If you're a fan of all things dragons, I would highly recommend it. And this for me is going to be an easy B tier. Then we have the Annals of the Western Shore, which is Ursula K. Le Guin's second young adult fantasy series after the Earthsea cycle. I greatly enjoyed it at the time I read it because it's Ursula K. Le Guin. Though, I read it years ago now, so I could probably do with a reread. It's a trilogy. It's about, amongst other things, slavery, the oppression of people because they are different, they have special powers, etc. The world building is very well done. The almost anthropological aspect to it is always something I enjoyed with Ursula K. Le Guin's work, so that's also going to be in B tier for me. For now, since it is young adult, technically it's going to be below the Age of Fire for now. Okay, so now we have the Mists of Avalon series, because there is the Mists of Avalon, the one novel, the big chunky 1,000-page novel, which is one of my favorites of all time, but it is technically part of a series. If I only took the Mists of Avalon as a standalone, it would be an easy S/God tier, no question. The series taken as a whole, however, isn't as high quality in my opinion. My second favorite after the Mists of Avalon is The Forest House. That would be an A tier for me. But then the other entries ranged from C to B. So if I have to average it out across the entire series, I think it can easily rest in A tier. Because, okay, remember, The Mists of Avalon is S tier. The Forest House is A tier. The others are B, perhaps a couple are C. So A tier seems reasonable to me. Then we have the Delirium Trilogy, which is my favorite out of all the young adult dystopian series I read in my early 20s, because it was very original in its premise. The idea is that love is considered a mental illness for which every adult must undergo a procedure, kind of like a lobotomy light, so they don't feel love. Now, there is, of course, a focus on romantic love, since it is technically YA, but what I liked is that, ironically enough, the main heroine's arc doesn't actually depend on her having to choose between 2 guys. I greatly appreciated that. So yeah, I'm comfortable putting that in B tier as well. Probably below Ursula K. Le Guin. I can't justify putting it above. Then we have the Divergence series, which I think isn't that popular in the Booktube /YA/SFF community because there are glaring flaws in the world building, in the story, though I did enjoy the first installment, and I did respect, spoiler warning, the fact that the author actually killed off her main character by the end of it, like, respect. So, yeah, not the greatest. I think I'm going to put this in C tier. Then we have the Earth's Children series by Jean M. Auel, which, to be fair, I haven't actually finished. I've read 4 out of the 6 books published in the series. I did enjoy what I read. It's quite unique in the sense that it tells the story of prehistoric humans during the last ice age in Europe, and it features Neanderthals and Homo sapienses, of course. Now, the thing is, the way she depicts Neanderthals is completely inaccurate. Okay, fine, we don't know that much about how Neanderthals actually lived, but based on what we know and what I've read about it, I know for a fact that the way she depicts Neanderthals is completely inaccurate and fanciful and a bit ridiculous, to be honest. So that has not passed the test of time. But otherwise, the descriptions are great. There's a sense of greatness in its scale, in its journey, because the main character goes on a journey literally across the Mediterranean basin, basically. And you see the mammoths and great elk and things like that. And like I said, there's nothing else quite like it that I'm aware of. It's definitely a blend between fantasy and historical fiction, because of course we don't really know that much ultimately about Paleolithic humans, right? So this again is going to be a B tier for me, because I do think that what I did read was good, was compelling. I mean, I did slog through, well, slog is a bit derogatory, but I mean, I did go through 4 books, which are like 500 to 600 pages apart, but somehow I kind of lost interest, which is why I never actually finished the series. So I'll put it between Delirium and the Annals of the Western Shore. And now we come to the Earthsea cycle, of course. Now, again, this is Le Guin, so like it's at minimum B tier. But it's not going to go above that for me because, as some of you might know, I reread the entire series back in, what was it, October 2019. And whilst I really enjoyed that experience, I was disappointed by the end. The last book kind of annoyed me in some of its details and the way it wrapped up certain aspects of the overall world building. And I have a review for that if you'd like to check it out. So, I don't know, it soured the series just a teensy bit for me, and I don't remember feeling that way back when I first read it. So yeah, it's going to stay flat in B tier, which is still good, mind you, but it can't go above that for me. However, it will go above the Annals of the Western Shore, because while I really enjoyed Annals of the Western Shore, and it hasn't been soured because I haven't actually reread it, the Earthsea cycle is like the OG Le Guin fantasy series. It just has a very special place, I think. Then we come to the Farsi trilogy by Robin Hobb. Now, I do plan on actually reading the entire Realm of the Elderling series, all 16 books of them. Oh, God help me. But, well, so far I've only read the first trilogy, and it was really good. It didn't go that deep into the world building, but gave you just enough to make you want more. The writing is very good as well. I should probably also reread it so I can actually do a review for my channel. And yeah, I do want to continue with the series. So this is going to be an A tier for me, because this is solid adult fantasy, and solid adult high fantasy, I would add. So down in A tier it goes. I think, ooh, do I leave it below the Missive Abbot or above? You know what? I'm going to leave it like that for now. It might change once I finish the Realm of the Elderlings. But yeah, it's an A tier in any case. Then we come to the darling of my childhood, which is the Harry Potter series. Love it or hate it, you have to give Rowling credit for creating the Potterverse and for opening the gates of, well, reading and SFF literature to so many countless numbers of children. And you know, it's magical, yes, obviously, and I just love this so much as a child. I was definitely a big fan as a kid. Less so now, and I never actually bothered to reread the books, though. Knowing that the audiobooks are narrated by Stephen Fry, I might give those a go one day. So this is going to be a comfortable B tier for me as well. Where exactly, though? You know what, I'm going to plonk it below Earthsea, but above the Annals of the Western Shore. I mean, the way they're arranged here doesn't matter all that much because it's going to get complicated since Beach is going to get a bit crowded by the end of this video. However, when we come to his Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, this is going to go straight into A tier because that was the darling series of my teenage years, shall we say. It supplanted Harry Potter by so many kilometers, miles, whatever. I love this so much, and I'm so excited that I'm going to be rereading these in a week. And then continuing on with the Book of Dust, or at least the 2 books that have so far been published in the new trilogy. But yeah, his Dark Materials has such a special place in my heart. So deep, intelligent. I love that, there were quotes by William Blake and John Milton at the headers of chapters and things like that. I know it sounds silly, but I love that kind of stuff. So this is an obvious A tier for me. I will put it right below Farsi for now. And now we have The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Powellini, which, again, holds a very, very warm and special place in my heart because this is the series that really launched me into reading books in English and into reading just the wider catalogue of English language SFF. Plus, Saphira is just such a wonderful dragon character. So yeah, sure, it's derivative. Yeah, I can acknowledge that without any problem. But still, you gotta give it to him for writing that series when he was, 16 years old? That's kind of impressive. So yeah, that's obviously going to be B tier as well. Where exactly, though? Oh, that's hard. Yeah, that's going to go, above Harry Potter, screw it. But changing tone somewhat, we have the Mad Adam Trilogy by Margaret Atwood, which is the best dystopian / post-apocalyptic / science fiction-y trilogy I've ever read because it's so convincing, and because it's so convincing, it's so incredibly depressing and borderline nihilistic, even though, without spoiling anything, the ending does contain seeds of hope and things like that, but still I was like, this is horrible, what the hell? And I don't care that Margaret Atwood says, I don't write science fiction. Dude, Mad Adam is science fiction dystopian / post-apocalyptic. So yeah, that's gonna be A tier for me, but perhaps bottom of A tier for now because it just was so depressing. Continuing with dystopias, we go back to YA, however, with the Maze Runner trilogy by James Dashner, which I enjoyed, at least when it came to the first 2 books. I didn't like the ending. I didn't think it made much sense. It didn't wrap things up in a terribly convincing way. So yeah, that kind of fell flat. The first one, however, was really good, but because it didn't end very well, or at least because I didn't like the ending and didn't think it was very good, it's going to stay down in C tier, above Divergent. Yeah, sure. Speaking of C tier, we have The Chronicles of Pern by Anne McCaffrey, which, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I reread all my Chronicles of Pern books back in April and May, which was a very fun ride, but I realized that series has not aged terribly well. Now, the main draw is dragons in space, to put it very simply, which is great. That is a very cool element, and like I said in my review, which you can check out if you want to, there are elements of world building which are really good, very convincing, based in notions of science and biology and things like that. That I really enjoyed, but then the dynamics around sex and relationships was a bit iffy. So yeah, and then the ending of the series, or at least the book that concludes the main narrative, chronologically speaking, was really disappointing and left a lot of things unanswered. So for all of those reasons, yeah, it's going to go in C tier, though at the top of C tier. Because yeah, adult science fiction trumps YA dystopian. That's just how it works. The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, which yes, I have also read a long time ago. I actually read the series in French. I was that young. I did reread The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in English before, the movie came out. But yeah, I read those in French, so I was 10 years old? So, see, even though I was 10, the Christian elements bugged me, quite honestly. I'm not personally a Christian, and it is Christian fantasy, and I didn't like also the way the girls were treated, or at least the way their relationship with Narnia worked. I think my favourite book actually of all of them was The Magician's Nephew, because the way the world hopping works in there was kind of cool, with like a forest with all these ponds, and you jump into a pond, and a pond brings you to different dimensions, and you witness the birth of Narnia, so that was neat. Yeah, not a fan by any means, though it certainly has its place in the history of children's SFF literature, don't get me wrong. But for me, it's not going to go above C. Sorry, yeah, to me it's a C tier, and okay, it's going to go beneath Chronicles of Pan, but above the YA dystopias. You gotta give it some respect, right? Right, so we come now to the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, which, as I've stated multiple times before on this channel, I am not a fan of. I never got on the hype train for that one, but I can appreciate and respect what she did with this trilogy. Some of the world-building elements, which were different, though not mind-blowing to me personally. I will probably also reread this trilogy, as I've also stated before, to do a review for my channel. But for now, it's not going to go above B. I do not get the hype for this. I never did. Anyway, so yeah, B tier for me. But like I said, I do appreciate, acknowledge, respect what she did, or what she was trying to do in any case. So yeah, I'll plonk it above The Inheritance Cycle, but still below Ursula K. Le Guin, because Ursula K. Le Guin is the queen, alright? The Hunger Games Trilogy by Suzanne Collins. The YA dystopian trilogy, right? I can say that. I think most people would agree with me on that one. I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the movies as well, and I think that will be colouring my judgment just a wee bit. And while I said that Delirium was perhaps my favourite, or not quite my favourite, but the one I found the most original with its premise, I think the one that's more fully realised and just greater in its scope and its message is the Hunger Games trilogy. So for that reason, I'm going to rank it above and put it in A tier. I do think it deserves a spot in A tier because one thing, I really enjoyed it, but another, I do think it has a special place in that particular genre of literature, and I do think it will stand the test of time. It's a bold assertion, I know. That's how I'm justifying my reasoning in any case. So, A tier for me, the bottom of A tier. It's definitely not going to go above His Dark Materials or even the Mad Adam trilogy, because like I said, adult trumps YA. Fight me on it, I don't care, but that's just how it works on my channel. The Tolkien verse. What can I say which hasn't already been said about this? It's obvious that this is going to be S tier. It can't be anything but that. Though you will notice that I said the Tolkien verse, not the Lord of the Rings, because one, the Lord of the Rings is not a trilogy, it's a book split into 3 parts. Does that make me sound like a pedantic asshole? Yes. Do I care? No. So that's one thing. And second, if I only took the Lord of the Rings into consideration, it wouldn't go in S tier because I didn't love the Lord of the Rings that much for reasons I talked about in my review, if you'd like to check that out. But if you add in the Silmarillion, The Hobbit, and also Unfinished Tales, and take all of the Tolkienverse as one body of work, then yes, obviously it is S tier material because it's the OG, it's amazing, incredible world building. The man created 2 freaking languages for it, come on! And just the characters, the influence, the legacy it's given SFF literature. Yes, of course. Nothing but God tier will do for Tolkien. Now next we have the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, which I read when I was in my equivalent of high school, I believe. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Because A, urban fantasy, and I actually really like that subgenre when it's done well, obviously, but still. And 2, yeah, I just had a lot of fun with it, even though it is YA and there are the cringy hallmarks of YA in it with the romance and the fake incest subplot thing, which, whatever, it doesn't even bother me. I liked all the lore in it, like it pulled from a lot of folklore and esoteric knowledge, or I mean, things that come from esoteric traditions in the West and things like that. Fun stuff, like I said, it's kind of like a book version of like Supernatural, or actually from what I've recently learned, the Dresden Files is probably the book form of Supernatural, and from what I've heard, it's superior by far, so I might have to check that out one day. But yeah, the Multiple Instruments is going to be a solid B tier for me as well. I'll pop it above the Inheritance Cycle. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. But now we go back to the best of the best, in my opinion, of course. Oh, this is in my opinion, if that wasn't already obvious. We have the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer, which is one of my favorite series of all time because it was just so mind-blowing, insane, creative, weird, with a capital W. So yeah, that's obviously going to be S tier for me. And then we go to the final two. Polar opposites in terms of quality, enjoyment, and durability. We've got Twilight. Yes, I did read Twilight in my younger and more naive days. When I was, 14, 15. I actually read all 4 books for some reason, and it's bad. I guess it's one of those things that it's bad in such a way that you can still enjoy it. But the thing broke for me entirely with book 4, with the whole werewolf imprinting on a 2-year-old, the whole religious purity crap with, oh, I can't have sex with you because otherwise my soul will go to hell or some bullshit. So they get married and then they have sex and he almost kills her because it's so violent and intense, and then of course she becomes a vampire because like everyone knew that was going to happen at some point. It was bad. And of course I can't forgive Twilight for indirectly perhaps, but still giving birth to 50 Shades of Grey. For that alone, it's going down into hell. No, down into D tier because it's bad. It's bad with a capital B. So yeah, the only representative of that rank, but it deserves to be down there. And finally, don't ask me why there are 2 of them because, I don't know, I tried uploading the images and it glitched, so there are 2 of them, but whatever. A Song of Ice and Fire. Again, if you've been following me for a while, you will know that I have said multiple times that I am a ginormous fan of A Song of Ice and Fire. It is my fantasy series. The one I desperately want book 6 for, like everybody else. The one that made me scream at my TV because the adaptation became such a dumpster fire of crap. The one I spent hours watching theory crafting videos and reading theories on Reddit and on the Citadel. The one I took notes for. The one. A Song of Ice and Fire is my fantasy series. It is God tier. It is S tier without any bloody question. So yeah. Up there it goes. Above the Southern Reach, obviously. And yes, above Tolkien. A Song of Ice and Fire is my goat. If you don't know what that is greatest of all time. Yeah, perhaps it'll change. Perhaps we'll never get an ending. Perhaps if we do get an ending, it'll be crap. But as of now, it is my greatest of all time. There you have it. My SFF series tier list. Now, you can see that B tier is really crowded, like I said it would be. Otherwise, I'm fairly happy with how it stands. I'm not going to modify it. In 2021, I do plan on reading a lot more SFF series. Plus, I mean, by the end of the year, I'm going to be reading Dune, and that's a huge thing. So, you know what? I'll probably redo this specific tier list in 2021. I've got like at least 3 trilogies lined up. And I do plan on tackling, like I said, the Realm of the Elderlings and the Wheel of Time as well at some point. So it'll be fun to come back to this in 12 to 18 months' time. So yeah, hope you found this, I don't know, interesting, entertaining, maybe. If you want to argue with me about my ranking, feel free to do so. We can have some friendly spirited banter around it. And I will be doing a few other tier lists in the future as well. It'll be a little series on my channel. I know they're overdone, but guess what? I think they're fun to do. I hope you have a lovely day, evening, night, morning, whichever, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye!